Welcome back once again to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. As always, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. And one of the things we talk about here on the show is Sharice is a local advisor. This isn't 1-800-HELP YOU WITH YOUR MONEY. Sharice is right here. You'll see her at the grocery store. You see her at the school board meetings, and you're going to see her at local events around town. And we like to highlight some of the people that make those kind of events happen. And Sharice, we have one of those people here today. Tell me a little bit more.
Oh, yes. We have a special guest, dear friend of mine, too. But today's episode is special because it's not just talking about sports. It's talking about excellence, discipline, legacy, and building something world-class right here in our own backyard. So I'm joined today by someone just over the top, next level, leader in our community, partner to Ocala Leadership Conference that we just started, philanthropist, and the most decorated combined driving athlete in American history. He is a 14-time U.S. national four-in-hand champion and has represented the United States on the world stage more times than most athletes dream of. But beyond the medals, what makes him most extraordinary is what he's built. And we're going to hear to talk about the Live Oak International event coming up March 13th through the 15th. Chester Weber, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Sharice.
You
Super
are
nice
welcome.
to be here.
Some people are probably like, well, who's Chester and what is four in hand?
Well, those are good questions.
Yeah, it is. So before we talk about the event you're having here, why don't you kind of just talk about what is that? Because the first time I heard about it, I knew it was something huge, but I had never put eyeballs on it.
Sure. So my family's been in Ocala for longer than I've been alive. My mom bought a horse farm during the Cuban Missile Crisis here when land values were like $100 an acre or something like that. And we've bred cattle. We have about 1,000 cows at home and primarily racehorses. I'm a little bit too big. You can't see that from the radio, but most jockeys weigh about 120 pounds soaking wet. I'm 6'2" and around 215 pounds. So the idea of being a jockey went away a long time ago. With that said, I got involved in driving horses instead of riding horses. So that involved a carriage or a wagon. And I originally got involved with driving Clydesdale horses. So if you think about the world famous Budweiser Clydesdales, that's how I started my driving sort of endeavor, and sort of followed different driving disciplines till I found the sport of combined driving, which, if you may, is sort of the Formula One of carriage driving sports. Then 35 years ago now, a carriage driving club that's in the area, the Florida Whips, they came out to my family and said, hey, would you consider letting us host the cross country from a horse event at your property? And this is my parents at the time said, yeah, of course, that'd be great. And so that was 35 years ago. We started as a little teeny local club event and organically have grown into a event that attracts about 17,000 spectators and competitors from 16, 17 nations across two different disciplines, one of combined driving and the other one of show jumping with horses. It's a tournament of sport across 4 different days, and is really turned into not only an incredible horse event for the horse capital of the world, but also an event for the community. And you can enjoy horses, but there's also a kids zone sponsored by Advent Health that has face painting and bounce houses and all the normal kids zone stuff. And there's also an extensive trade fair where you can shop. And then we always try to have a little something for everyone. And we have hospitality for people in the VIP tent, from champagne and caviar to, selling Budweiser beer,
Hot dogs
and hot dogs out of the beer truck. So, yeah.
So I went last year and I bought a nice piece of jewelry there that was not expensive. And I'm not wearing it today. I should have worn it today. And so I thought it was lovely, all the different things you could purchase, whether you're into horses or not. So it was a little shopping. And I got to experience a VIP tent, which I thought was just over the top. Free food and alcohol, even though I wasn't drinking, but it was just under the shade. You got to watch the Grand Prix part of it and all that. So I thought that was nice. And then all the arenas are decorated with sponsors and tailgating. So it's very family friendly and lots of good food. I also noticed you had a whole dog jumping in the water thing. What is that?
Yes. We've always tried to have other things that sort of, horse people all have dogs. There's not a person who has one horse that doesn't have maybe 2 or 3 dogs. So they kind of go together. There's something called dock dogs, which are, dogs that run down a dock and then they jump. Like if you think about the Olympics of track and field, they do like a long jump into the water and they measure how far they go. So there's a local organization that does that. They take, dogs do something like the Olympic Games. They run down a dock and then they jump into a pool of water. The distance which they jump is measured. And of course, the dog that jumps the longest wins. Super fun for family and kids to watch. Really fun entertainment, and looks like the dogs and people are having good fun. And of course, horse people like that. And we try and make the event a real day in the country for people to come out and see. And whether you're a diehard horse enthusiast or just somebody who enjoys looking at horses or the trade fair or whatever it is, we have a little something for everyone.
So there's a lot of horse shows to go to in Marion County. So we have World Equestrian Center, we have HITS. What makes this one-time international event that happens once a year so different and special?
I think that, we tried to build it all around a tournament of sport. So it's all about sport at the highest level. It's governed by the FEI, which is an international governing body of Olympic horse sport, and all of the sport there is governed at that sort of standard. So it's all about sport at a super high level, and it's the only event in North America that showcases both carriage driving and show jumping. So it's unique, at least for this continent. Been to many events like that in Europe, but it's really nice. People have a variety of different horse sport to watch, and it's not watching 7 hours of the same thing all day.
Yeah. So when I went last year, I was worried about you. Actually, it's the first time I've ever seen you live. There's a water hazard. I literally got there in time and I went, that looks dangerous, right? It's more thrilling to watch it because then what they do is you go to this one arena and then you hop. So this whole entire troop of people hop over to another arena to watch the next part of it. And then we go to another. So we're all walking together. It's really the coolest thing I've ever done. And on top of that, these other arenas, it is dangerous. Like I thought you were going to get hit. Your horse is going to get hit, your team, because everything's so close and narrow. And there was one time I went, oh boy, I was like, if you did one small move, like it could knock you out or somebody else, like literally out cold.
I definitely hope that does not happen.
I know.
There's no thrills and chills like that.
No, it's kind of.
But, horses have their own mind and they can be, guess it could be dangerous. We've tried to make the venue really a fun place for people to be able to watch. They should be able to follow their favorite competitor. So the track that goes out between the different obstacles is laid out in a little bit of a cloverleaf pattern. So literally we try to make it so that somebody can watch their friend with just walking from one to the next. Really nice combined driving, carriage driving, cross country on Saturday morning. Really fun over bridges and all sorts of different obstacles. It'd be a little bit like driving your station wagon around the living room with an incredible amount of speed and accuracy, and horses going kind of different directions. And it starts in the morning with youngsters and the single horses, and then you get into single ponies, then you get into all the way up to a pair of horses, and then up to the sort of the Formula One of it, the four in hand of horses.
After setting up event after event, and then watching your event, there's got to be so much involved in setting up such a huge event. What do you think the hardest thing is? You're not just on horses, you're behind the scenes a little bit with your team managing this process.
Yeah, so everybody says, it must be so great. You're going to contest your 23rd U.S. National Championship at home, and that must be a huge advantage because you know the course and you know what's going on. And I would kind of scratch my head and I'm like, do you realize that there's 17,000 people that are going to show up here today, and there's traffic issues and different challenges that come at us every day? But it's a lot of fun, and we have a fantastic team that makes it happen. There are 150 volunteers with 300 volunteer jobs that help produce the Live Oak International. So competing is a lot of fun, but there's a lot of other distractions. And sometimes people are like, well, would you rather compete at home for national championships, or would you rather do that somewhere else? And the reality is sometimes it's easier to go elsewhere and do that because I can just focus on that job. For example, the second weekend in May, I'm at Royal Windsor Horse Show in the Windsor Castle just near Heathrow Airport in England. And I don't have friends or family who live in Windsor, so I just focus on doing my job, being around my team, enjoying what I have going on there. and I don't really have any distractions. Whereas, if somebody's alternator is broken on their pickup truck or something like that, they inevitably ask me, "Hey, Chester, I need the name of a body shop or a repair company." So lots of funny distractions when competing at home. There are some advantages. The biggest advantage, though, is the crowd. The crowd, being a hometown guy, they like you and they're for you, and that makes it a lot of fun.
When it comes to community, I know you guys are training on your farm, training students there. Are you also hoping that this also bridges the gap to get more kids involved in horses and the competition itself?
Yeah, horses are wonderful teachers for life for all of us, because a horse, they don't care where you are or how much money you have, or they just take you for what you are, how you are that day to them. A horse doesn't understand somebody holding a grudge. So they're great lessons. And 4 years ago now, I think it is, we committed to adding youth driving. The carriage driving population is typically from people who, rode horses their whole life. And then they think, okay, I'm going to start driving because I have something wrong with my hip or my back or whatever it is. And then they're like, wow, I wish I had done this 15 years ago. So we decided that we would try to showcase a youth division for the driving in an effort to get kids on the biggest stage. So not unlike if you think about the U.S. Open in tennis in Flushing Meadows, they have, you can go there as a junior. Now you might not be competing at Arthur Ashe Stadium or something like that. You might be on some backcourt, but just the exposure to being on that kind of stage with that kind of crowd inspires some people. And if we can just inspire one more young person who has passion to go out there and do great things. And horses, like I said, they're fantastic teachers, and they take you for exactly who you are that day.
So if after the show people come to your event and say, I hear you're the horse whisperer, what would you say to that?
I would talk very quietly. No, in all seriousness, that was too easy. I've always wanted to be known since I was a little kid. I always wanted somebody to say, hey, he's a really good horseman. And when you talk about horse whisperers, I guess we're talking about Buck Brenneman or Monty Roberts or Pat Pirelli, and those guys all learned from a guy named Ray Hunt. But those guys are all really good horsemen and women. I someday would love for somebody to say, hey, wow, he's a really good horseman. But I've always thought that was for later in your career. And some people kind of tap me and say, well, that's ridiculous, Chester. You've kind of gotten there. But I live through sort of a lens in the world of humility. I hope someday that some of my heroes, the Jim Westbrooks of the world and things like that, I hope that those guys someday will say, hey, you made it. You're a horseman now. But until then, I keep working on my craft and focusing all the teeny little details that go into making me as good as I can be at my craft. And I'll also remind everybody, I may be pretty good at doing what I do, but without a fantastic team of not only horses, but people around me that are able to all yoke together in a synergetic way, there's no way to be successful.
So we're not getting any younger. Can you compete forever in this event?
Forever is a long time.
Well, what's your forever look like?
Well, I am in the funeral business, and I can assure you of two things, Charisse. We're all going to die.
Yes.
Just don't know where, and I don't know when.
Yeah,
I mean, somebody mentioned Lazarus. I think he died twice. So, really good for the funeral home. They got to do that twice. All the humor aside, can I do this forever? Horses, something that's really interesting about them is experience, hours doing horses, relating to horses, having different experiences are probably like somebody who's a money manager who's been at it for a long time. If you've seen, if you're right out of college and you just got your MBA and you're like, well, I'm brilliant, I know this market, and you're dealing with somebody who's been a broker or a trader or something like that for decades, they're like, this market, but there are other markets. And if you're going to be really good at your job, you have to be able to deal with many different situations. So huge advantage to having experience. So the older you are, the more experience theoretically you have and the better you have. But of course, in the cross country, hand-eye coordination, speed, things like that are paramount to making it happen. Therefore, I torture myself every morning. I go to the gym, I go to Iron Legion, and I lift weights, and I work out with this guy, Ted, and he is relentless at torturing me and trying to make me do things that, my 20-something-year-old self ought to do. So I try to be really committed to my own health and wellness. I try to stay really fit. And I'm hoping that I can continue on to do this. And maybe someday there'll be a great young guy, maybe one of my kids, will get involved in it, or there'll be somebody else around my program that's interested in taking up the reins of it, and I can have fun just training horses at home. Somebody asked me, well, where's your favorite place to drive? And I thought it was a really good question. In the beginning, I was sort of thinking about, wow, is it this venue in Aachen, Germany, or is it Windsor in England, or where's my favorite place to drive? And then I thought, that's probably not my favorite place to drive. My favorite place to drive is probably at Live Oak Stud. Like on any given morning, as long as it's not raining, it could be foggy, nobody can see what you're doing, and the horse is just going really well. And there's a, perfect communication between you and the horse. That's my favorite place to drive. And yeah, it's a bonus if there's a sun coming up or something like that. But I really enjoy the fundamental work, the basic stuff to get into it. And I've thought a few times that maybe I should just, get behind some young guy and really turn the reins over to him. But I'm really competitive as a person. So then I'm like,
you'll know when it's time.
I've tried that and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not ready yet.
Not ready yet. Hey, that's good enough. Why don't you tell people where they can go to get tickets? Where's the location, time, date?
Sure. So everything is available at liveoakinternational.com. They're on Instagram at Live Oak International, Facebook, all the normal social media stuff. You can find us. All the ticketing gets done as well. You can find all of that stuff online. And there is a bevy of different opportunities from, a VIP ticket where you can have champagne and caviar and preferred parking to answering questions about handicapped parking. And
wait a minute, can I tell you, you want preferred parking. It's not like walking's far, but I liked preferred parking.
I think what Charisse was referring to with parking is the event goes on at Live Oak Stud, our family's farm. It's about 4,700 acres. So if you park far away, it could be a long drive. But, it's like going to a football game. If you want to have a good parking spot, you probably got to pay the guy, to park in his backyard for, a couple bucks. But we try to have a little something for everyone. If you have little kids you want to wear out, drive to the back corner of the parking area and, they'll be worn out by the time they get back to the car.
So this event is, in my opinion, this is not a horse show. It's an international experience that if you haven't been to it, it's so worth going. I took my daughter for the first time last year. She ended up finding friends. They're playing in hay and dirt piles also, and they enjoyed the Clydesdales and all that kind of stuff. Chester, is there anything I have not asked you that you would really want to tell the listener before we close?
So some other interesting things. We have a color guard this year. One of my, side gigs is I train horses and riders for the U.S. Army involved in a little cemetery in Arlington, Virginia. So if you're chosen to go to Arlington and given high honors there, you're put to rest with a team of 6 horses pulling a caisson. Oh. And I train all those people here in Ocala. Mm-hmm. We have a group of about 15 soldiers here now. Super worthy stuff, a lot of respect for the men and women who do that. And the cool thing is they're going to do a honor guard every day together with the national anthem. And if anybody's ever been to Arlington, just super touching, or seen the videos of Kennedy's funeral with the blackjack, the horse with the boots backwards. So they'll have really nice display of soldiers and horses. Super interesting thing. And hey, if you're into dogs or face painting or Clydesdales or
shopping,
they're shopping, diamonds, everything is available. Or you just want to come out and watch horse sport at the highest level and have a really nice day in the country under beautiful, magnificent, majestic live oak trees. Live Oak's got a little something for everybody.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, Chester, I always say excellence leaves a trail, and you have certainly left one. If you want to witness the world-class competition, experience international international sports at its finest and support something that elevates Ocala on the global stage. Mark your calendars, March 13th through the 15th. Get your ticket at liveoakinternational.com. And I think there is a 15% discount if you put in Coffee Talk. I'm waiting for Chloe to text me back. But if you go there, we'll make sure it's ready to rock for you. Chester, thank you not just for being a champion, but building something that brings the world to our own hometown.
Thank you so much.